Have you ever wondered about the invisible scars that words can leave on a person's soul? Today, we are going to delve into a topic that is often misunderstood yet incredibly impactful: abuse. But not just any kind of abuse. We're focusing on the silent destroyers, emotional and verbal abuse. Abuse is a term that often conjures images of physical violence and visible scars. However, it is not always as overt as a bruise or a broken bone. In fact, it's often the unseen wounds that cut the deepest and last the longest. Abuse can be insidious, hidden behind closed doors, whispered in hushed tones. It can slither into our lives, leaving trails of devastation that are felt, but not always seen. Emotional and verbal abuse are two such forms of abuse. They may not leave physical marks, but they can deeply scar a person's psyche, affecting their mental health, self-esteem, and overall well-being. Emotional abuse can be subtle, yet destructive. It involves a consistent pattern of behavior that slowly erodes a person's sense of self-worth and independence. It can make a person feel unloved, unworthy, and insignificant. On the other hand, verbal abuse is an overt form of emotional abuse that uses words as weapons. It involves belittling, criticizing, and demeaning the victim, slowly chipping away at their self-esteem and self-worth. Both emotional and verbal abuse can be perpetuated by anyone: a partner, a parent, a friend, or even a stranger. But there's one group of individuals that often excel at this form of manipulation: narcissists. Narcissists have a knack for twisting words and emotions to serve their needs, often at the expense of those around them. So, why are we talking about this? It's not to scare you, but to shed light on the unseen, to empower those who may be suffering in silence, and to educate those who may unknowingly be contributing to the pain. As we dive deeper into this topic, we'll unravel the layers of emotional and verbal abuse and how they often intertwine with narcissism. When it comes to abuse, physical signs are not the only indicators. Emotional abuse, though invisible, leaves a profound impact. Let's delve deeper into understanding emotional abuse. Emotional abuse is often a hidden form of torment, a silent predator that chips away at a person's mental health over time. It can be as subtle as a consistent pattern of criticism, belittling, or humiliation, and as overt as manipulation, control, or even threats. An individual subjected to emotional abuse may be made to feel worthless, unloved, or constantly in the wrong, even when they're not. Take, for example, the tactic of gaslighting, a form of manipulation where the abuser sows seeds of doubt in the victim's mind, making them question their own memory, perception, or sanity. Or consider the strategy of control, where the abuser may dictate who the victim can see, what they can do, or even what they can wear, thereby isolating them and diminishing their independence. The effects of emotional abuse are far-reaching and deeply rooted. Depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem are just the tip of the iceberg. Victims may also struggle with feelings of guilt, shame, helplessness, and fear. They may find it hard to trust others, have difficulty forming healthy relationships, or even struggle to love and value themselves. However, the insidious nature of emotional abuse often makes it go unnoticed or dismissed. It doesn't leave physical scars, making it less obvious, less tangible. The victim might even be convinced by the abuser, or by themselves, that what they're experiencing is not abuse, that they are the problem, not the other person. This denial and self-blame compound the trauma, making it even harder to break free. It's important to remember that abuse is never the victim's fault. The blame lies squarely on the shoulders of the abuser. And emotional abuse, despite its intangible nature, is as real and as damaging as physical abuse. The harm caused by emotional abuse is real and significant, and it's time we recognize and address it. The first step towards healing is acknowledging the abuse, followed by seeking help and support. You are not alone, and you deserve to be treated with respect and kindness. Scene script. Words have the power to heal, but they also have the power to hurt. Verbal abuse is a prevalent form of abuse that often goes unnoticed. So what exactly is verbal abuse? It's a negative defining statement told to the victim or about the victim, or by withholding any response, thereby defining the target as non-existent. It can take many forms, from name-calling and belittling to constant criticism and even the silent treatment. It's those cutting remarks at dinner, the sarcasm that's just a little too sharp, the constant nitpicking over trivial things. It's the persistent undermining of your self-esteem, the endless questioning of your decisions. It's a barrage of words designed to chip away at your sense of self, your dignity, your worth. Now, let's delve into the impact of such words. Verbal abuse can significantly affect an individual's mental health and self-worth. It's as if the person you are, the person you've worked so hard to become, is being systematically erased. You begin to doubt yourself, your abilities, your value. You may struggle with depression, anxiety, and even post-traumatic stress disorder. You may feel constantly on edge, never knowing when the next verbal onslaught will come. Your world becomes a battlefield, your home a trench, and words, the bullets. Here's a truth that might be hard to swallow. Verbal abuse can be as damaging as physical abuse, if not more. While physical injuries can heal over time, the psychological scars left by verbal abuse can persist for years, even a lifetime. The bruises may fade, but the words echo, a ghostly reminder of the pain you've endured. The damage inflicted by cruel words can be just as devastating as physical blows. It's essential to recognize and confront verbal abuse. The first step is acknowledging it, the next, seeking help. Remember, you are not alone, and you certainly do not deserve to be verbally abused. You are worthy of respect, of kindness, of love. Reach out, speak up, and reclaim your power. Now let's delve into the world of narcissism, a personality trait often associated with both emotional and verbal abuse. Narcissism is a complex personality trait characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. But behind this mask of extreme confidence lies a fragile self-esteem that's vulnerable to the slightest criticism. In the realm of relationships, narcissism manifests in a variety of ways, often leading to emotional and verbal abuse. Narcissists tend to perceive themselves as superior to others and use this perceived superiority to justify their actions. This superiority complex feeds into a cycle of abuse, with the narcissist constantly seeking to assert their dominance and control. Now, let's explore the connection between narcissism and emotional and verbal abuse. Narcissists often employ emotional abuse as a means to maintain control and power over their victims. They play with their victims' emotions using tactics such as gaslighting, where they manipulate others into questioning their own sanity, or love bombing, where they overwhelm their victims with affection only to withdraw it abruptly. Verbal abuse, on the other hand, is a more overt tool employed by narcissists. They use words as weapons, delivering harsh criticisms, belittling comments, and cruel taunts to undermine their victim's self-worth and confidence. Over time, this erodes the victim's sense of self, making them more susceptible to the narcissist's control and manipulation. But why do narcissists resort to these forms of abuse? The answer lies in their deep-seated fear of vulnerability and rejection. By using emotional and verbal abuse, narcissists are able to maintain the illusion of control and superiority, shielding themselves from their own insecurities and flaws. In conclusion, narcissism is a complex trait that often intertwines with emotional and verbal abuse. Understanding the interplay of emotional and verbal abuse within the realm of narcissism is key to recognizing and combating these harmful behaviors. As we wrap up this journey into the world of abuse and narcissism, let's revisit the key points. Emotional abuse, a silent weapon that undermines self-esteem, and verbal abuse, using words to inflict harm, are both tactics often employed by narcissists. These individuals weave intricate webs of manipulation, using these forms of abuse to maintain control. The importance of recognizing and addressing these issues cannot be overstated. Remember, everyone deserves respect and kindness. Recognizing and understanding abuse is the first step towards healing and recovery.